Hey guys, it's Mark from Hallmark Pool Supplies. In this video I want to show you guys how we change a light bulb in our swimming pool light. Now there's a lot of different lights on the market. It doesn't really matter what kind of light you have. Most of the lights, as far as accessing the light and removing the light and changing the bulb, is all going to be pretty much the same. For this demonstration, I have a display here with a light, and normally this would be underwater, but I want you guys to know that when changing the light bulb in your light, you do not have to drain or lower the water in the pool to do so. All we have to do is get a Phillips screwdriver, and we go to the top screw. It's usually at 12 o'clock, and we put our screwdriver in here, and we remove this top screw. Now, once we remove this screw, we're going to be able to pull the light out, and then we're going to be able to set it up on top of the deck so that we'll be able to open it and change the bulb. But for this demonstration, I'm going to move it over here to the table so I can show you guys how we do this. Most lights have bands around them. Some lights have tabs. Really doesn't matter, just as long as we can open this up so we can get to the bulb, which is inside. And for this particular light, I'll be using 5/16 nut driver. I'm going to put it on here. We're going to undo the band, and as we loosen this, this will allow us to have access to the inside of the light so we can change the bulb. So now that we've got this band loose, we're going to be able to remove the light. We've got the band here, and then what we want to do is there is a gasket around this. We're going to be able to open this up. We've got to be careful because it's going to be tight because it's been sealed. But once we remove that, we have the lens, and then of course we have the gasket that goes around the lens, which makes it watertight so that water doesn't get inside where the light bulb is. Now, this particular bulb is just a standard light. This just so happens to be a 500 watt bulb. If you're changing the light and you don't know what type of bulb or what the wattage is, it is very important because there's a lot of different bulbs, as you can see here. For an example, there's 12 volt bulbs, there's 120 volt. We have lights that are 300 watt, 400 watt, 500 watt. It is very important that we do check, and if you're not sure what to use, on the light itself, there is a label, and that will give us information to tell us what kind of light we have and what type of bulb and what the wattage is and the voltage for that bulb so that we know what we're changing. At the same time, we also have what's called halogen bulbs, and halogen bulbs are much smaller, but they're very bright, and they're threaded, they're snap-in, as you can see here. And what's very important to note when dealing with halogen bulbs, we do not want to touch the bulbs with our bare fingers because the oils from our fingers can actually cause the bulbs to burn or blow out when we turn them on. So when handling these type bulbs, you want to use paper towel or tissue so that we don't get the oils from our fingers on the bulbs. These type bulbs are just regular floodlight type bulbs, and it's not going to matter if we handle it with our hands. And for an example, if you have a warning or a label plate here and it's wore off and you can't read it and you don't know what you have, usually when you unscrew and you look at the light itself will also tell you what the light is so that you know what type of voltage or wattage that you're dealing with when changing that light. At this point, we've opened this up, and now what we want to do is we want to check the lens. We want to make sure that the lens is good. We want to make sure that the gasket around the lens is sealed good and that it is also in good shape, because if it's bad, we may want to replace that. Now, for you guys that need bulbs, gaskets, or lenses, or even just the screws that go in, I have all that on our website. I will post links down below for you guys, and if you guys have any questions, you can definitely comment down below or feel free to contact me. I will be glad to help, because there is a lot of different parts to a light, and we want to make sure that you get the right light or the right gasket or the right lens or the right screw for your light. Now, when changing a light, sometimes you'll see on a niche ring like this, and this one is chrome. This one happens to be plastic. Really doesn't matter. There's what's called a 10-hole, an 8-hole, and a 6-hole. This is a 10-hole, so it's a much larger light. They make 8 and 6, like I said before, but when changing, if you take the light out and this breaks, or it breaks down here, You don't have to change the whole thing. They do make upper and lower tabs. This one just so happens to be for an 8 niche, and this one's a 10. But you got to make sure you get the right one. And what this does is this goes over the top. It screws on, and then they make one that goes onto the bottom. So that way we can attach the light without having to replace the whole ring. So I've got these as well, but it is important to know if you have a 6, 8, or a 10, because they're sized according to the light niche ring that you have. Like I said, we also have actual gaskets for the lights. We have the light rings, the lens covers, we have the screws. Anything that you guys need, we have it. And if you have questions, like I said before, feel free to contact me. I will be glad to help. Once we get this apart, and then we go back in to put our bulb in, we want to screw the bulb in. And we've inspected everything, and we see that this is good and that there's no problem. We're now able to put this back on. I'm going to make sure we got it on there secure as such. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can go ahead and put it back into the light itself. We're going to set this back down into the light, making sure that we got that locked on there good, as we can see. And then what we want to do is we want to take our band, and in this case I'm just going to go ahead and remove the nut completely so I can get a better bite on it. Put your bolt back in. Got to get your nut back on it. And we can get our nut driver. Get ready to tighten it up so we can get it back on. And now that I've got it snug, before I go any further, it's just a good idea to double check and make sure that we've got it seated really good all the way around. Looks good. Looks good in the front. We're lined up. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and tighten her down now. Now we've got it good and tight. And then what we want to do after we get this set, and keep in mind you're going to be up here on the deck, what I like to do is take the light and let's put it underwater and let's pull it back out, and let's just look and make sure that there's no water leaking in here, that we didn't pinch the gasket or the seal on it, making sure that it is tight enough that water's not getting in here, because if water gets in here, it's definitely going to mess up the bulb and you'll be replacing it again. At the same time, we do not want to turn the light on when the light is out of the water. Doesn't matter if it's a bulb, a halogen bulb, you want to make sure that this is underwater before turning it on, because if you turn this light on outside of the water, it gets very hot very quick and you could blow the bulb. Having said that, we know we're good. Everything looks good. Now we can go back under, and what we want to do is wrap the cord around the light as such. Then we're going to be able to stick this light back in, line it up at the bottom, make sure we're locked in. And then we're going to get our screw. We're going to line it up. Then we're going to be able to screw this back in, and that'll lock it in place. And this just needs to go in snug, making sure that she's locked in, she's good and tight. Everything looks good, and then we're done. So basically this is how we change a light in your swimming pool. And for you guys that have a regular light and maybe you want to upgrade to an LED light, into an older existing light, that is also possible, but it is important to know what kind of light you have so that you get the right LED light kit that will fit the light niche that you have. I will post links down below for those as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, or like I said before, contact me. I will be glad to help. So hopefully you guys found this video to be helpful. And at this time of year, we are getting to a point where people are starting to winterize their pool, be it an above ground or an in ground. And if you guys need help with that, I have posted links as well down below in regards to winterizing your pool. So you guys might want to check that out. I definitely want to thank everybody for watching. I definitely want to thank all my subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed, definitely do so for future content. So make sure you hit the like button and definitely subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching. My name is Mark, and I'll see you guys on the next video.